Good evening, this is Liz Busquets, and today is November 9th, 2021. This is the monthly ASCA board meeting, and we're all present here. Carol, Denise, Gina, Jan, Jean, Judy, Rick, Susan, and myself, and also Kala is present. So just in case you're listening in for the first time, the way we do this is we go down the items on the agenda. We discuss, we go around to allow each director to state their opinion, comments, or ask questions. And then if there is a need for a motion, we go ahead and go through the process of voting for the motion. All right, so tonight, the first meeting in open session is last month's email business.
I move that we ratify the votes from last month. Thank you.
I'm sorry, who's
I
talking?
second that, Denise. I think the motion was Carol and Denise second.
Okay, so Carol and Denise. Okay. Motion by Carol, seconded by Denise to approve last month's email business. Any further discussion? Right, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. So the next item on the agenda is the computer system and technology update. Gina?
Okay, the week of August 28th, I believe there was a huge collective sigh of relief. The ASCA and Inventive teams migrated the ASCA database from the server in the business office to the Azure cloud. This migration happened without any problems, and this was due to the huge amount of work and planning by both the Inventive team as well as the ASCA team. Currently, the web portal and the application are still running in the AWS cloud as work continues on the database in the Azure cloud. Both the ASCA team and Inventive team felt that the database should be moved early on in the project due to the risk of the server failure happening in the business office. Excuse me. The database migration included transforming the database from the legacy infrastructure-based database to a cloud platform as a service database. In short, this means ASCA gets a ton more security, more performance, better performance, and monitoring capabilities. On the new application development side, the team completed the basic kennel registration components. There was a lot of discussions on the business rules surrounding kennel names and related topics. The ASCA team is currently working on this application and adding the necessary text. The next on the function list for Inventive will be the membership processing, and the discussions have already started regarding membership types and the rules and the policies related to these membership types. In addition, the data categorization exercise has been completed, and that's thanks to Maureen and Ray's work. This exercise basically documents what data, what data can be made available to the various groups, such as the general public, ASCA members, non-members, kennel owners, dog owners, etc. Budget-wise, I'm happy to say that we're still under budget, both dollar-wise and hour-wise. And on a final note, I'd just like to say when I started this as board liaison for the migration project, I had no idea what was involved to get to the end product. The amount of work, the amount of planning, meetings, review, categorization of data, etc. that happens even before the design and coding stage starts is to me, it's just mind-boggling. And watching these teams come together, work together, and create a final product is just amazing. So once again, a heartfelt thank you to Martin, Maureen, and Allie for the huge amount of personal time they have donated to make this project successful. Also, I'd like to thank Ray for his contribution and for working with Maureen on the data categorization exercise. And last but not least, thanks to all the testers for their continued time and input on this project. That's all I have. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much, Gina. Any questions for Gina? There doesn't seem to be anyone with a question. So again, a great deal of thanks to the team and Inventive and you, Gina, for all the work. I know that you have put a lot of time into all these meetings and putting all this together. So I think we're all extremely grateful that this is finally happening, and for all of you have done to make it happen.
Yeah, thank you. It's pretty amazing.
All right. So the next item on the agenda has to do with mileage reimbursement, and that's from the NAC, and that will be Rick.
Okay, thanks, Liz. Last month, we were discussing a recommendation from the NAC regarding mileage reimbursement for judges, committee members, and everybody that was involved with mileage rate. And originally, the NAC had, I believe it was 14 cents. It was a charitable rate for mileage. And we felt like, the board felt like, with the increase in gas prices and then everything that was going on, that was just not feasible. So we went back and asked the NAC to kind of rework that. They have kind of mirrored the reimbursement process that today's ASCA Board of Directors get, and that is actually 56 cents a mile. So they have reworked that motion, and they have passed a motion and sent it on to us for our approval. Basically, now the motion for mileage reimbursement says it's a reimbursement for judges and workers, national committee members, and nationals and finals judges, not to exceed 56 cents per mile based on gasoline receipts for the trip to Bryan, Texas. They must provide gasoline receipts. We are willing to multiply this by 2 to cover a round trip, or the cost of a round trip airfare, whichever is cheaper, per their contract. Receipts are required for reimbursement. So the discussion with the board last month felt like this was more in line with what these people should be reimbursed. We went back to the committee, like I said. They have reworked a motion and passed a motion, and now I'm bringing it back to the board to be approved for these judges and workers for the national specialty.
Okay, so I guess I need to clarify in my mind, Rick. It's saying that they will get 56 cents per mile, right?
Yes.
But you said something about receipts. If it's 50 cents per mile, then we wouldn't need receipts, right?
That's correct. That's what's in their motion.
Okay. So is it straight 56? I'm sorry, I can't have whatever is going on with my computer. I can't have the motion in front of me. So is it just like for directors, where it's also whatever is less money, either the 56 or the price of a flight or the expenses that will be incurred in a flight?
Yeah, it's whichever is cheaper,
Okay,
ASCA will reimburse.
okay. So it's just like the one, like the director said.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I just
basically,
wanted
I
to
can
make
have
sure.
them.
Yeah.
I can have the, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense to 56 cents per mile based on gas receipts. That doesn't prove anything.
Right. No, it's
Gas
basically
receipt.
from where you
Yeah.
start. Google can give you that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. I just wonder because I couldn't look at the motion in front of me. So what you would like is for us to vote on this motion tonight?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's go around. There's a motion on the floor. Carol?
I'm sorry, am I up? It's Carol.
Go ahead,
Can you hear
Carol.
me?
Yeah.
Okay. So it seems reasonable and fair in light of all the current conditions. So I would definitely, I think it just common sense means, that they should get reimbursed if they're driving or whatever the lower amount is. If it's same as a airfare, even if you drive, that's your choice. So I would approve this. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol. Denise?
I approve.
All right. Gina?
Yeah, I approve, but the verbiage on the receipts does need to be removed.
Okay. Jan?
I would support that motion as it's written. Thank you.
Jean?
Yeah, I don't, in that first sentence, not to exceed 56 cents per mile based on gasoline receipts. I don't think that based on gasoline receipts is not pertinent. The way the board of directors one is written, it's 56 cents per mile, or it actually doesn't have the dollar amount, which we should probably actually change that, because in the future, the feds could change that amount. It should just say that, whatever, that IRS or federal, whatever it is, mileage reimbursement or whatever it is per mile is what it should say instead of that 56 cents. And, or it should, or the price of a round trip airfare, whichever is cheaper. I mean, that's the way it reads for directors. You either get mileage or you get airfare, whichever is cheaper. And of course, airfare is usually cheaper. All that, and then receipts are requested for reimbursement, are required for reimbursement. That is, that's fine. But that first part of the sentence, I think, needs to be changed. Like I said, take out the dollar amount, and that based on gasoline receipts, take that out, and then I would approve it. I don't think I would approve it the way it's written right now. And we could resubmit this tomorrow because we're not done with our motion period for this month. So unless Rick can go ahead and change it himself, I don't know if he wants to. That's it.
Thank you, Jean. Judy? Judy? We can hear you. Judy, I didn't hear you. Is anybody else hearing her, or is it just me?
Nope, not hearing her.
Okay.
Nope, here.
Okay, I'll tell you what, Judy. If you try to fix whatever the problem is, I'll come back to you. So Susan?
So Laura and I discussed this since I'm sitting on that accounting chair's hat. The reason the gas receipts line is in there is we're still gonna, the way I understand, it's still whichever is less. We're looking at the round trip airfare for one, basis of reimbursement, the 56 cents per mile, or the gas receipts. If somebody drives 1,000 miles and 56 cents a mile is $560, but they've only spent 300 in gas, they should not get the 56 cents per mile. They should only get the amount of gas reimbursed that they have utilized. I know that that was what the intent was. I was not integral on writing the motion, but after a lot of discussion with Laura, because we looked at the budget and what it was going to do to our budget this year, I know that that was the intent with trying to be as fair as possible. I still think there's some misspoken terms in the actual motion. So I think it probably needs to, I hate to say this, I feel like it needs to go back for revision again.
Thank you, Susan. Anne?
Yeah, from what Susan just said, that the point of the motion is to be fair, I think, is to be fair to cover expenses, and that for using mileage, because that includes wear and tear on the car and things like that, that having the federal rate I feel is appropriate. That for the actual cost, gas receipts, if that were lower, I feel that is appropriate. And then with the plane fare, so yeah, maybe needs a little rewording on what is the minimum and what is the amount. But then personally, it's great that you're doing 56 cents a mile, but the airfare is always cheaper, so it's never going to actually covers the cost. But that's what volunteering for what you want to do does. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I have done this myself. There is no way that I'm ever going to get mileage. If I drive from Georgia to Texas, the mileage ends up being something ridiculous, like $1,500, $1,600 or something. And so, it's going to end up always being whatever I would spend on a flight, So gas, I don't know. I think that for most people who are driving, unless you're pretty close by, gas is probably going to be just as expensive as a flight. But in some cases, it may be cheaper. But I think the problem is that if the wording of the motion is not completely clear, then it needs to be reworked. I mean, I don't know if is that something that you think the NAC could do in a day and send it back to CALA so that we can vote on it?
That's going to be my intention.
Okay.
I personally do not like the part about based on gasoline receipts. I mean, you're telling me I'm going to get 56 cents a mile, but then you go, well, let me see those receipts. No, it's either 56 or the lowest airfare. So I will send that back to Laura and get the committee to look at that.
And Rick, this is Jean. Liz, this is Jean. We have that before us that we are not supposed to have dollar amounts in our rule book. So it would be best if they just put the federal, the federal mileage rate, whatever.
And that's what I'm going to tell them. That's what I'm going to tell them.
Yeah. And if they want to do the gasoline receipts, they could put a comma and say, or gasoline receipts for the trip, or the price of a flight. But like it make it 3 options, not like mileage based on your gas receipts, like you said. So anyhow, that's all.
Yeah. Okay. So before I go back to you, Rick, Judy, are you back?
I have no idea if I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yay!
All right.
Uh,
You have to come.
pretty much what Susan said. I agree with her. I think it needs a little rewrite to make it clearer, because I also did not understand what the gas receipts meant. And I'm all for that, actually. So I'd like to see it come back in a little clearer form, and then I could vote for it. Thanks.
So there you have it. Rick, if you could take it back to them and they can rewrite it, and maybe you can get it to Kala. I mean, hopefully you can get it to Kala by tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do our best.
Yeah.
Basically, I know Laura's wanting to get this information out to the judges and everybody so they know
Sure.
what to expect. And so I don't know. We'll see.
Hey, Rick,
All
it's
right.
Kella. I think that even
Yes.
if you send it to me tomorrow, that we should probably handle it as an emergency motion, even if it's just within a
Right.
couple of days, just so
True.
that it does get taken care of quicker than an email.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, that's a good
Okay.
idea, because then we don't have to wait till the end of the month to have it passed.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Okay, that was that. Okay, so the next one, I guess I'm going to be talking about that. In the past, I mean, sometime last year, we talked about this when we canceled the 2020 nationals. The consortium had done some merchandise to try to get some additional money to be able to complete all the refunds and everything. And so the account has been cleared for the 2020 consortium. Everything has been paid up. But the clubs that had initially paid $500 each to actually, contribute to the consortium bank, they didn't get their money back. So we had talked a little bit about this when it had first happened, but because we weren't sure whether the merchandise was going to cover it or not, it just we didn't talk about it anymore. So now that we know that the merchandise didn't cover this amount, then what the consortium is requesting is that ASCA, in good faith, try to go ahead and help the clubs out and give them that money back. So, so that's the issue. So I'm gonna just go around. Carol.
So do we know how much money this would be altogether? Like, I don't know how many clubs there were.
I'm sorry, there are 4 clubs, okay? First in Flight, Greater Atlanta, FASA, and Dog Agility of West Georgia. So it will be $2,000 total.
I think this is one of the reasons why now ASCA is taking over doing the nationals, because it seems like we always end up making sure everything is right. I mean, I hate to see the clubs eat it, but I guess I'm also not sure when they signed on to take it over how they thought, I don't know. I guess I'd be willing to hear what everybody else has to say. I don't have a real opinion on this. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Carol. Denise?
I would agree with refunding the club their deposit or their good faith money, or their startup money, whatever you want to call that, $500 they put in, because all those clubs had members that came out there and tried to get that thing set up, and there was a lot of work that went into it before it was canceled. And I really think that they all deserve to be back on track with that money. So I would agree to refund it to the clubs. Thank you.
Thank you. Gina?
I definitely think it should be refunded to the club. This is another case of a casualty of COVID, and it's not like they can host, create the consortium again and host another nationals. That's not going to happen, at least as far as we know. So I definitely think they should get their money back. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen?
I have not strong feelings either way. I think because of COVID that this would be a reasonable solution to very tough times. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean?
Yeah, I think we should probably refund them.
Okay. Judy?
I agree with refunding.
All right. Rick?
No comment.
Okay. Susan?
I think that one of those clubs is very immature as far as what they have, how long they've been in existence, and that $500 hit could really hurt them badly. I think through no fault of their own, they deserve to get their money back, the $500. I support that. Thanks.
Okay. Anne?
I agree. I think the refund would be fair, and it's just a drop in the bucket. Thanks.
Okay, so my point of view in this is that, ASCA canceled the event. I mean, it was difficult to, come up with all the money, even though they tried with the merchandise. I mean, they tried to not have to ask the board to refund this money, but it didn't work out. And so I really think that the affiliates shouldn't be penalized anymore. I mean, it's bad enough that, the affiliates have had such a hard time this last year and a half. And this was so much work and so painful to have to go through all that and then cancel. So I am in agreement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the motion basically so I move to refund these 4 clubs: Dog Agility of West Georgia, FASA, Greater Atlanta ASC, and First in Flight ASC, to refund them the $500 deposit that they had forwarded to the consortium for the 2020 nationals. So is there?
Susan, I second.
Okay. All right. So thank you. So so the motion is on the floor. I moved the motion. Susan seconded. So any further discussion? All right, then I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. All right. Moving right along. Okay, I added this the sanctioning time frame here because we do have that motion that we passed, right? Where we said we were going to come back to the 60-day sanctioning period on November 1st. But then the way that the motion is worded, it says that we are gonna reassess the situation on November 1st. And I think that's a little bit problematic, because if we are indeed going to change on November 1st, then I think that we need to send the affiliates a reminder that they need to put the ducks in a row and have all their sanctioning done. Any sanctioning that's done after November 1st needs to be the 60-day deadline. So I guess what I want to know is whether we feel, anybody on the board feels that maybe November 1st is not the date to change back to 60, which of course would mean that we will have to either rescind the motion or change the date. Personally, I think that we're probably pretty much ready to change, at least for the United States. I think that Europe and Canada are still having issues, so they will have to be treated in special cases. We do know that the 30-day and the 45-day sanctioning deadlines have really slowed down processes in the office to the extent that it's just not good for ASCA, and not good for our staff, and not good for the members either, right? And for the affiliates. So we don't want to slow them down anymore. So basically, I think that we should keep it this way. But if something happened, an emergency or whatever, we can then recap on November 1st. But I think that the appropriate thing will be to send the affiliates, if the board agrees to stay with the November 1st, to send affiliates a reminder so that then they don't miss that. Okay, so that's all I have on that. So I'm just gonna go around to get you guys thoughts. Carol?
So I do think that in the States it should go back to 60 days because it has been quite a burden on the business office. And I think we're in a position in the United States where that's not such a hardship that we could do it. I do think we're going to have to continue with Europe and Canada on a case-by-case basis. The one thing I guess I would like to clarify is if we're going to go on the 1st of November, it goes back to 60 days. If you had something on the 10th of November, that means that on the 10th of September, you would have had to say a sanctioning in. Is that how it reads?
Well, no, because what I understand the motion saying is that starting on November 1st, anything that affiliates sent to the business office has to be then by that 60-day deadline. Presumably, something that happens on November 15, for example, has already been sanctioned by November 1st.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm good. I was moving it back to the 60 days for the United States on the 1st. That's all.
Okay. Denise?
Yeah, I would agree that the time is right to go ahead with that on the November 1st issue date. If things turn back around and we have to change it again, we have to change it again. But right now, I think 60 days is a good time to start November 1st. Thank you.
All right, Gina?
Yeah, I am good with moving it back to the 60 days. I do think we're going to have to keep a very close eye on things. I don't know about other areas, but our area, big events are starting to be canceled because of the Delta variant. And for the first time in history, Northern Idaho has implemented the crisis standard of care, which is quite scary. So, I'm not sure what's ahead, but for right now, we could move it back. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Jan?
I think it's important for the office that we move it to the 60 days. And if there's any extreme conditions, they can bring that to us. And of course, Europe and Canada are still having problems. So we would have to be making exceptions for them. Thank you.
All right, Jean?
Sorry, I was trying to find the mute button. Yeah, I'm good. I think we should move it back to the 60 days. Thank you.
All right, Judy? Again, I'm not being able to hear you, Judy. Okay, looks like Judy is gonna have to fix this again. So let me go on to Rick and then I'll go back to her.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good time to go back to the 60 days. It is a hardship on the office. If and when we need to readjust, we can do that at that time. Thank you.
All right, Susan?
I agree. 60 days is good, with special consideration potentially for Canadian and European events that are coming in. Thank you.
All right, and
I agree that with all the trials ramping up, that the office needs the time. We've heard issues with sanctioning, and so 60 days is, we need to move back to that so that the office can catch up, clubs are happy, exhibitors are happy, and needs to be done, especially for the United States. Thanks.
all right, thank you. Judy, are you back? No.
She says this is Jean, she says her GoToMeeting is not cooperating.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I think that most of us are then in agreement that to stick with the 60-day, and by November, starting in November 1st. So what we need to do then is send a reminder to the affiliates to make sure that they are aware, and later, they don't come back saying, well, nobody told us. I think that it should be our responsibility to make sure that they know. Okay, so that's what's in the plan then. Okay, thank you then.
And
Wait,
this is
yeah.
Can we make sure that we send out those reminders on the e-news and on the ASCA members list and Facebook and everywhere we can?
Yes. What we usually do is that Kala and I get together, and then Kala ends up sending whatever announcement, puts it on the list, and then Heidi also helps out in putting it on the website, on the Aussie e-news, and on Facebook. So yeah. All right. So the next one is finals refunds. Jean.
So the motion itself is, it says entries will be refunded, provided that an alternate fills the spot or something to that effect. And then the changes made in each of the program rule books. The only one that did not have a prohibition about refunds, surprisingly enough, was stock. So this sentence got added to all of the program rule books in the various parts, and I'm not going to read them all because it's way too long. So basically what it says is what it says. If you pull from finals and we can fill your spot with an alternate, you will get your entry fees refunded. And Gina seconded that. So there you have it.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor then by Jean, seconded by Gina, to allow refunds to finalists who withdraw if an alternate is found to take their place. So I'm going to go around. Go ahead.
Wait. Sorry, I should have just said that the rationale for this is that, you know, there's really no reason for ASCA to keep both entry fees. So that's all.
Right. Okay. All right. So the motion is on the floor. So I'm going to start with Carol.
So I would approve this motion. I don't see why we would keep, if we have someone fill the space, that we would not refund the entries to the original person. So that's all I have.
All right. Denise?
I would approve the motion.
All right. Gina?
Yeah, I definitely approve it. There's no reason for ASCA to make double the money on that spot. If it's filled with an alternate, then give the original person their money back.
Right. Jan?
I agree. Thank you, Jean, for making, and Gina for making the motion. Thanks.
All right. Judy?
I agree.
There you are. Okay.
Yay.
Rick? Rick?
Yeah, in this particular circumstance on finals, as long as we have an alternate, I'm good with returning the original entry fees back.
All right. Susan?
I agree. Thank you.
All right. Anne?
I agree that if it's filled and we're getting another entry fee, there's absolutely no reason for ASCA to keep the original entry fee, that it should be refunded. Thanks.
All right. So I'm just, is there any other discussion on this motion? All right. So I'm going to call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. All right. Okay, so there was another item, but we don't have it anymore. So this is it. This is it for the meeting tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you to the membership that is listening in. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
This is Gina. I move to adjourn the meeting. Whoop.
I'll second.
All right. Gina.
And Jean.
Gina and Jean. Yes, so the motion is on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you so much. And have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.